Hey guys, Francis the Market Sniper and also the Crypto Sniper. Make sure you're following on at the Crypto Sniper, where my crypto trades will be proliferated. This is going up onto the Crack Up Crypto YouTube station, so watch out for the Crypto Crack Up Wealth YouTube channel. Anyway, bit of a mouthful that. What am I doing here? Ethereum, Bitcoin. So this is my take, chaps, and I am technical and I have a reasonably high confidence that this could or should happen. I want to warn you that this is a reasonably high confidence that what I'm going to say could have an eventuality of happening. That doesn't mean I have to be accurate, and I'm talking about accuracy and inaccuracy. There's no ego involved here about right or not right or wrong and all of that. Just want to talk about accuracy because this is a probability-based assessment. So I don't know. The market will either make me look foolish or prove this to be accurate. My feeling here is that we've had a change of trend event. So the feeling is derived by real process, not just because I have that gut little twitch. Real process. This was a very deep pullback. It's too flat to this low. This is not upside continuation in my view on balance of probabilities. Listen to the qualifications that are in there. I don't want to sound like a lawyer now, but in my view, on balance of probabilities, this is an insufficiently big second impulse. It's very small relative to this exhaustive move up. It just ran the 50% on the Poloniex exchange. You might have got a little bit more on others. We need a 61.8 ideally to have confidence in the upside continuation on that second impulse. The impulse also spilled away brutally on an inverted HVF in a shorter time frame here, and there was continuation with further confidence levels at these levels. We then spilled right the way down, and then we had to wind up just to get back up and sitting on the 9s level after dipping properly under the 9s level. We've since spent all day trying to threaten to go up, grinding. There is a grind line. This is HVF theory. You're going to have to do a course to find out what it all means. I'm sorry, otherwise just take it for what I'm saying. This is bearish, an ascending grind line under the small, very tight bodies crawling up the slate mountain on slippery moss means one thing, technically, for an HVF method expert like myself. And that is that. A brutal sell-off is on its way. In my opinion, on balance of probabilities, I think it is higher than further upside and upside continuation. You can, just before you have that break off, actually have a little final flurry of up, which will have everyone saying, you're wrong. To which I'll say I'm inaccurate. And that could then come back down and break. So just before, you sometimes get what's called a death knell swirl. So it could have a little pop even. It's very deceiving. And you might just run marginally higher than the other, and then you get a shooting star. Then you sell off brutally. The support will come in late again and will be difficult, and there will be a lack of strength to it. You will probably then get the equivalent of what is known as a bear flag or a rising wedge. That's a flag, in other words, a sell-off, and a flag or a rising wedge is when you have a pinch. So sort of that line and say horizontal and one of these two lines. In other words, there's a pinch involved. I'll stay with the bear flag. I think it's my highest probability, but a rising wedge is also possible. This point will be the best and final sell. You could also be considering a relative high to sell. In other words, this is for me is trend change. This is a low one. That is a high one. This is a low 2. We are making a high 2 here, and we might improve it slightly here. We don't know. We will have a sell-off, which will be the beginning of, it will be high momentum. It will replicate this, possibly more brutal, but at least somewhat like that. Any reaction will be relatively muted and weak, and the next thing to happen is that. This is a fairly high probability assessment in me. I could be wrong, and this could go melt up to the skies, and all of you guys will say, there you go. But I want to say that this is higher than is typical for me. This looks very much like my USD Turkish Lira trade. It looks very much like my crude oil trade, when this represented 130 oil and this represented in the 90s, and then you were bouncing around just before calling a major market turn. So these are potentially calling a major market turn in Ethereum versus Bitcoin. This will have rumor, story, there will be some narrative which will come out, but by the time you hear it, this move will already be well away underfoot. Do not be overweighting now in Ethereum at the expense of Bitcoin, in my opinion. I certainly won't be. So I am in the safe house of Bitcoin at the moment, and I will be holding there. This could, as a first inverted HVF in a new trend, lead to overperformance on what is already a fairly chunky target. The target for the downside would look something like that. That's your geometry. We're going to work on that being the H2. Bear in mind, I don't have all the levels yet because the pattern hasn't yet formed its third impulse. But if I work on this target area and this squeeze area, which is highly populated, where that funnel might be, and if you don't know what I mean by a funnel, don't worry. It's part of the methodology that I use. I will be projecting down from there. So on that alone, I would be seeing 75s coming up for Ethereum. However, as I was saying, I expect overperformance to the downside in instances like that. This in of itself will run the funnel on the upside that was here, that we traded long Ethereum and we were out of Bitcoin. So I'm not an Ethereum hater. Get this, please, guys. This is not a belief system. This is a technical process that I'm bringing to bear. I'm not an Ethereum hater. I've been long Ethereum more than I've been long anything else. This is about being in the right asset class, or the right coin, let's put it that way, at the right moment. And if you're active, by that I mean not day trader thrashing around 5 or 6 times in and out and churning costs. I just mean at the big cycle, on the big time frames, you want to be in the firm coin out of the top 3. This will be a moment where you should be switching out of Ethereum into Bitcoin, in my opinion. And as ever, as I've said before, I could be wrong, but this looks like overperformance to the downside. So little exhaustive pop up, maybe a shooting star, a very impulsive sell-off, which will not run this low. That will lead to us having a low, a marginally higher low, and then a third marginally higher low. The tops will have come down very, very tight across here. Brutal sell-off, weak response in rally, followed by a spill, which will have, in its own way, it won't necessarily all be in straight line. No markets fall exactly in straight lines. There will be a lot of disbelief. Everyone is talking, Ethereum is the new Bitcoin, etc. There will be interim levels where the trade will move against you. That's how the HVF methodology works. So somewhere here, we'll get a rally. So I don't mean to oversimplify this. You can get this, and then you get another line, little bounce. We can get a revisit all the way to funnel even, in your bounce. So everyone will say, there, it's over, and you'll be chasing the momentum of the moment. Don't get caught in the momentum of the moment. It won't suddenly be all okay. If it triggers these lows, it's going to at least run that level, in my view, on balance of probabilities. Probably have a rally at that juncture for some time, and then make lower lows. If you think I have no experience with calling shorts in cryptos because it's a new market, I'm afraid I must tell you that we enjoyed the run in Ripple, and we called this very same setup in Ripple, and we got the hell out of Ripple, and it proved a very, very good decision, also with overperformance. So this is my community. There was the longs on Ripple, so I'm not a hater on Ripple. I know it's the banker's coin. Yeah. We traded it long. Why? Because it was going to go up in value, and it's my duty to help people make money and to help myself make money. And then we saw this. This has been called by one of my students. Big shout out to Stephen Foote. Well done on that one. Calling the flat bottom. Why? Because he's been trained in HVF methodology and has proven pretty damn good at it. He called that. Note the little pop out the top of the rising wedge before it sold off. Very flat bottom. Very flat bottom. Grinding. There's that climbing up that mossy slate before skidding cliffhanger style down. And he had the target at 13 on this particular exchange, which is Poly. And what did we get? What did we get? What did we get? That was my draw, by the way, very similar to his, and that was not poly, that was Kraken. No, it was poly too. Apologies. And then this on a smaller scale shows why we were bullish repeatedly at that point. Maintaining bullishness. We were short Bitcoin to hold the ripple. And then we said we should see a run through the 13s and overperformance. What happened? Let's keep dropping the clock and you will see. So that is what happened on that trade. On a much bigger time frame, 120, that is that setup. There's your 13 being run. Down, 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 right the way through, well sub 10s on overperformance. Kept setting further little downsides as well. I can't even tell you what Ripple is now. We'd have to look it up. But the point is, it's academic. It's well off its highs. It may eventually be starting to recover at some point, but that doesn't mean it's a buy right now. So that is inverted HVF. You would need the full program to even begin to understand how and why we draw them. And I know for you that doesn't work. You just want to trade cryptos. So there's your take from someone who knows. Normally I don't do this. It only goes out to premium guys. I'm probably going to make this clip freeware for everyone to have a gander on this occasion. But it won't always be that way. I have people that are paying me for my services and insights, and the premium material, the bulk of the premium material is not being seen by you. So with that, if you want to find out more, get in touch with support at the Market Sniper. Watch the Ethereum. I could turn out inaccurate. I'm sure you'll all remind me if I am. But on balance of probabilities in an outcome game, which is a probability game, I feel the odds are not stacked in your favor to be a holder of Ethereum at the expense of Bitcoin. That is the thrust of this clip. And with that, I'm going to love you and leave you. There's the silver making all its targets with this chart. Here we go. There's the chart I was looking for. That's the one I was looking for. I will share and publish this idea. Lots of lines, lots of analysis. Beware, beware, beware. Overperformance to the downside that could see sixes and even new lows, maybe even fives, but certainly in the sixes. And the first target where if we were short that we would take off is 75, 0.075. But I do feel the overperformance even could see you dipping below that still. And we have overperformance management that we will utilize, and that is bespoke to the trading course, and you'll see where we get out retrospectively on that if you are a free viewer. That's it. Love you and leave you. Play safe and be careful out there. Don't use leverage. Stay in the game. Good night.